Cool. I'm just going to admit a few more people, and then we'll kick things off with the presentation. Okay, I think we'll kick things off, everyone. And then just give me a second if I need to still admit people. It yeah, it should be an open meeting actually. So I'm not sure. Maybe Blessing. Yeah. Do you have some
Yeah,
suggestions how I can change it?
yeah. Maybe you can share your screen. Then let's look at it.
Cool.
I think it should be on the top. I mean, on the bottom.
Uh-huh. Is it this guy here?
Right. Yeah. Let's try that.
All right. Cool.
Scroll down.
Oh,
Open.
here we go.
Yeah.
Open. Amazing. Cool.
Awesome.
I think I that should work now. All right. So, yeah, welcome everyone. So thanks for joining on a Friday afternoon. I know it's a challenge, especially when the weekend's around the corner. But yeah, really excited to kick off one of the sort of year-ending hackathons that we've been running with the Hacker Style platform. I see from some familiar names on the invite and who've joined and some previous winners. So yeah, great to have everyone part of a new event. In terms of what we're going through today, please just feel free. It's basically a Q&A session, and I'll take everyone through this page and how the hackathon works. But if you have questions, I will be presenting. So Blessing, who's the sort of key development sort of person to reach out to, he can help if there are any questions in the channel. He can help respond there. But if there's something more pressing or you'd like me to pause, please just raise your hand and I can hear it, and I'll stop and swap over back to the Google Meets link. Great. Okay, so what are we doing today? So we're hosting basically a end of year Celo hackathon. We initially went actually with the idea of focusing specifically on gaming, but a few people have reached out to say actually they've got ideas that they would like to submit that link to other financial applications, so lending being an example. And so just to clarify, this hackathon is actually open to many different apps that could be built on Celo. We're not actually limiting it necessarily to just games. But I think it's important to say that given that we are trying to find applications that can be built on MiniPay, ideally, you know, something that could be done on a mobile app is really what we're after, and something that could be sort of displayed and pushed out to a large community is or something that can be highly adopted is really what we're looking for, and that's the reason why there's the focus on gaming. For those of you who don't know what MiniPay is about, MiniPay is basically a Celo financial app built on Opera. So if you want to learn more about it, you can just go MiniPay Opera, and you'll see here that it's basically a wallet, or you can read about it on the Opera website. But it's got quite a lot of adoption already. I think it's got a good couple of hundred million users. It's kind of mostly focusing on remittance. I don't know if I've cached something here. It's not. Oh, here we go. Yeah, but you can see here there's sort of 10 million wallets, so quite a few people using it. And what the Opera guys are keen for is to try and find as many use cases that we could embed in terms of apps within their ecosystem. So that's the objective of this hackathon. And as I said, to try and keep the focus, we want to really hone in on gaming. So let's talk about the challenge. So um, because this is blockchain, we do want to keep these games decentralized or at least blockchain focused. Um, we've isolated three categories which are really popular, or at least categories that we think would be useful to be built on the blockchain. I'll go through them one by one. The first is play to earn. This has been quite a big category, or at least a popular category. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Axie Infinity. It's probably a game that's now maybe 4 or 5 years old. Hugely popular in the crypto space and got millions and millions of users. And their gaming was centered around rewards and cash, so incentivizing people to play to kind of unlock rewards. Now, there's lots of ways you can do this. I've just thrown in a couple of examples here where you could, for example, design a racing game that's perhaps sponsored, and people either pay to kind of submit a ticket to the race, and maybe someone with a high score, for example, could unlock a prize, or you could kind of look at that as a pre-sponsored model, where users could then, if there's a sponsored prize once a week, they could unlock that. It's not so important that you get the commercials right for the game as much as make the game fun. I think that's really important. So don't stress too much about if it doesn't make commercial sense. You can build it on a test net. So giving away tokens, to winners isn't a problem. What we're really focusing on is, can you build a fun game? So that could be a puzzle game, a trivia game, really anything. But the idea here is that people who play it would get a reward or earn something. The second category is you're probably more familiar with is prediction markets. These are quite popular. Poly markets is very famous at the moment, where you can predict the outcomes of elections, things like that, and you can win funds. It helps gather more accurate information than, if you're aware, people do polling for when it comes to elections, and that can be quite biased. So these markets are really efficient, or maybe some might argue more efficient than what exists through polling. Other than that, you could predict sports scores. There are lots of sports betting apps out there, so that would be another example. Crypto price movements, if you're a fan of the crypto markets, um, that's also very popular. Then the other is educational games. These are also great. If you think of Wordle being a classic example, math challenges or quiz apps. Again, if you want to tokenize rewards or maybe have some kind of challenge system where two friends could challenge each other and the winner takes away a prize, those are also really cool implementations. But these are three broad themes. Again, totally open to any interpretations or games that you might have ideas for. In terms of prizes, as you'd notice, compared to some previous hackathons we've run, this is a much bigger prize pool than what we've done previously. For those who are unfamiliar with our prize mechanisms, we give away basically a higher prize amount to the top projects who submit, and then if you submit basically a working app, and we can see that you've basically done what we've laid out in the hackathon, you'll also win something. There's a 5-to-1 ratio in difference of prize money. So if you make a really good project, you'll win $500 for the top 6. And then if you just are one of the first 30 people who submits and your project is valid, you'll receive $100. And that's expounded on here, and we've essentially allocated the prizes accordingly. Sorry, it's actually top 5. This is top 6, but it is actually top 5. So that's just a change that I can make here. In terms of the tech stack, for those who built on the blockchain, the front end really just plugs into the blockchain. So Celo is quite nice, and I'll go through it in a second, but they have a composer kit where you can just pull the UI elements that you need for your app. It makes it a much faster process if you use their composer kit. Otherwise, of course, you can use whatever front end framework you're comfortable with. That's not really something that we're looking to judge on. It's really just ease of use. And if you want to make your life easy, Composer Kit is a great place to start. This is a Celo hackathon, so obviously the blockchain is the Celo network. Please don't build on anything else. That's obviously because Celo is sponsoring the blockchain. This hackathon. ERC, this is again an Ethereum-based blockchain, so you need to be familiar with Solidity, and we'll take you through that in a moment. We're very broad with submission requirements. Essentially, what we would like, again, the theme of the hackathon is gaming, but again, we're happy for you to build something if you're inspired, with another app, finance or similar, as long as it works. That's kind of the principle, right? blockchain apps are difficult to build. So if you build something that works and you can submit it and you can allow us to either test it on mainnet or on testnet, then that counts. Also, the user experience, it can't be that we connect our wallets and then it's impossible to use. If you're building a game, please make sure the gameplay is simple to use. Otherwise, just generally an easy to use app, so that when we're judging it, it actually works. Please submit your GitHub, and then the video is really important actually because it's something that we'll go to first before we actually even judge the repo or the user experience, right? Because if we can see in your video that the app doesn't even work, then we wouldn't go on to judge it. So it's really important that you get your video right. It doesn't need to have high production value. It just really needs to show what your app does so that we can test it. Um, what I've done is just added some example resources here to inspire you to build your first game. These are just, again, great resources of YouTube videos that will help guide you. But really, it's totally up to you. What I found in the past, when you have a nice tutorial you can kind of follow from beginning to end, it gives you a framework within which to work. And so these are just a couple of examples where it's either a game that's been built, from a front end perspective. I've given an example of Minesweeper in Svelte. Otherwise, they might be full sort of end to end blockchain games, which I'll show you in a minute. And so you can choose to follow those tutorials. Judging criteria, we're very, and this is just from experience. I've said this already, but blockchain apps are particularly difficult to build from a development standpoint. So we're really not too harsh, actually, in terms of our judging criteria. Um, if you're looking to win and not just be one of the first projects or the first 30 projects you submit, um, what we'd really judge is creativity and impact. Technical depth as well, but I would say definitely impact and innovation, because again, we're looking for apps that could be used within the MiniPay ecosystem. So it doesn't necessarily need to be particularly technically complicated to have impact. And again, I think what's nice about gaming is you've a large kind of surface area to get innovative, in terms of combining gaming and blockchain. So those would really be the top two criteria. And then, the others are kind of self-explanatory, where as long as it's a great user experience, which should come from, the just, it should be common sense that your app's usable. Um, and that's it. I mean, really, those are everything documented here is what you need to get cracking. What I will go through now is just the way that the platform works in terms of helping you guide you through your journey of the hackathon. So you're kind of here, which is stage one. So if you click this, this will take you through to our current meeting. Then, yeah, what we do is once you've completed a task, it'll change color. There's an option for those of you who haven't already. You can join the WhatsApp group. The point of that is to be a community where you can ask for feedback. I've mentioned already. So I'm Nick, and Blessing is kind of my technical co-pilot. He's much stronger than I am. If you have questions, we're both here to help. Also, a lot of the other Celo community is available and will be on that WhatsApp group as well. What tends to happen is people, if they get stuck, they will, pop messages in the channel, and others will help out. So that's the point of it, really, is to be to be helpful to others. What I will do is now take you through, which I think is a more recent tutorial made by the Stello team. It's kind of a trend at the moment is vibe coding, and so it's really for people who don't have any development experience. However, I do think it's a tooling or a set of tooling that was probably useful for everyone, and it's a great kind of end-to-end how to deploy on Celo. So what I wanted to do is just show everyone just kind of highlights of this video, and I'll start. Let me just see here. So I will start with a Celo Composer Kit. So Sophia is kind of, or Sophie rather, is the head of developer relations at Celo. And yeah, what she does is she'll kind of take you through key tooling or apps that are useful. So what I'll do now is just play about a minute or so of the front end to give you an access. You've got a link to this video on this hackathon, but if you'd like, I'll just take you through a minute here, just explaining the Celo Composer Kit. Let me know if you guys have audio on this. Okay, I've just turned on subtitles.
Hi, Nick. I don't think there is sound on our side.
Yeah, no, there's no sound, but I've got the subtitles. So is ever I mean, I assume people can see the subtitles, right?
Yes, sir. It's all good.
Cool. All right. So that was just the front end again. Not crucial if you don't have sound because again, the video is actually on, the website which everyone's registered for. So you can just watch along there. I just want to highlight key parts of this video. So the first is the UI kit, which will make your life a lot easier when you're building. The second is just hard hat, which I've always found deploying smart contracts to be a bit of a hack. So I'll just take you through here to the section on hard hat. Um, it's very short. Cool. All right. So I think for those who, if you could struggle to see the subtitles, main thing and what I really like about this particular tutorial video is that you get both the effectively the back end, but the hard hat smart contracts and the front end all in one, and it gives you a really nice kind of boilerplate starting point if you have no kind of no pre or you've no experience working off the blockchain. So highly recommend using this tutorial video to start. I'm not just going to pop along just to where you see, let me just, I think it's over here, the actual, oh, so Sophie's using prompts and just to touch on here, um, this is great because I mean, you can go and use this GitHub repo and kind of pull some of her prompts down if you'd like to use this. They've built basically built like an MCP which you can then interact with and it'll build some of the apps components for you, and it's already been essentially trained on Composer Kit. So you can use some of the prompts or put your own. But yeah, she's just saying here you can copy hers and then just use and sort of modify it if you will to actually update your own yeah update for your own UI or kind of contract changes. Okay, so what she's done here, for those who if it's a struggle to read the subtitles, she's just modified the prompt she took from GitHub and is basically instructing the AI to modify the actual contracts as well. What's wonderful about this is if you just simply have an idea for an app and you're not that strong yet as a blockchain developer, you can use this to really give yourself that strong base to build off because this will actually scaffold those contracts for you, and then when you've got a familiarity with it, you can then either use the prompt engineering to modify the contracts, or you could actually go and play with the logic yourself. So that's just, in this tutorial, you can see the prompt engineering. Then I just want to show you what the outcome looks like. Let me just see here. I think it's here. So you can go and see here the front end, and construction with a smart contract to actually claim tokens. Great. So I'm going to pause there. That's the first video we've allocated to this hackathon. This step 3 here. Uh, Completely up to you if you'd like to start with the vibe coding. All of these tasks essentially are optional. If you're very comfortable with the blockchain, you can carry on. I'll just go through this. The second tutorial, which is somewhat a little bit more advanced, but why it's useful is that it's an on-chain quiz game, which is exactly what we're kind of after as part of our gaming. So what the starts, I'll just give you a little bit of an overview. Uh, Sorry, I'm just trying to find actually. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking for this, which is really, if you follow this tutorial, you'll get an IQ quiz, which if you modify, if you have, say, for example, a um, guessing game, or maybe an education game, you could scaffold using this backend to create something else that's not IQ related, and you can use the smart contracts in the UI. And you can see here, cool. So that's an example of how you could then vibe code and use and develop a quiz app. Um, I've given now from here non-seller related games that are either blockchain or not, and just a really inspiration for you to drive ideas for game generation. So the first one here, some of these are quite long. This and they really teach you the fundamentals if you're interested in blockchain. So this one is on um, essentially a memory game. So what this is it allows you to basically guess where images are, and if you can remember where they are and you match the two images, you can unlock a reward. So this can have multiple different applications, and again, it's potentially a great one if you want to create games that you want to have two participants, and compete to perhaps who could do this the fastest. But I'll just briefly show you how it works. I remember here you guys don't have audio, but essentially, what you're allowed to do once the backend is integrated here is that you can then claim the reward. So I'll just go here to this part where if you match to confirm, you get you get tokens sent to your wallet. Uh, this tutorial, if you are new to blockchain and you're just interested in learning, is very detailed. And let me just show you. You start literally from the, making a contract from scratch. It is a lot. I mean, this tutorial itself is something like an hour and a half, so it's obviously a lot longer than if you wanted to just vibe code. But again, fantastic for your personal development if you'd like to learn how to build a contract from scratch. So that's one. That's built on Ethereum, which of course you can just swap over if you just change the network configurations. Um, this is just an inspirational example of a front end that you could just use to make an app like Minesweeper. Code Sandbox is fun. You can find some ideas, but you can sort of, I think Minesweeper is the idea where where you find similar numbers, and then it fills. I'm not very good at this, and then you're supposed to get more points as you kind of block out areas, not land on the mines essentially. Very old game. Maybe I'm showing my age that you can play. And it was, yeah, I think it was free with like Microsoft Windows or something. So that's an example. Now this one's a great one for those interested in building raffles or lotteries. So what is here? What is really clever about this is that how it works is you pay an entry to the lottery, and then it's provably random using chain links, using chain links oracles. It's actually a problem that I've encountered recently. Is like, how do you show the public that you effectively chose a number um, randomly so that they're comfortable that any lotto, like if you think of a national lottery, would actually be provably random. And using the blockchain, they've got oracles that can actually show that things were randomized correctly. And so this is a great tutorial. Again, quite long though. You can just snippet out the parts that are interesting to you, but you can have people enter your lottery, pay a fee, know that it's random, and then get distributed accordingly. Lots of different applications for this. The most obvious would be something like a national lottery. Um, but yeah, totally up to you how you'd like to apply that. And then this actually, unfortunately, isn't live, which is a bit annoying. But essentially, how it worked was, and maybe I could just zoom my screen in here, was during the Rugby World Cup. You could actually essentially bet on rugby games. Now, why I wanted to show everyone this specifically is that sports betting is such a growing market, and I feel like if you're interested in football, cricket, rugby, whatever, you could then basically feed in live sports events. I mean, I'll show you. Maybe there's something on the architecture here where you're essentially fetching from a sports API, and then you basically have a smart contract that pays out based on whether or not. So the smart contract would essentially accept the bets, custody the funds for those bets, and then based on logic that it's receiving from the API, actually be able to pay out. Now, you've got the demo recorded in the background, but I think for those interested in follow this link, you can go to the app, which unfortunately, because the World Cup is over, is no longer live, but you can actually go and pull down the GitHub repository, and you can, basically install it locally yourself, clone it, and yeah, I mean, they've really well documented here. It's from Chainlink. They've documented how it works, and then you can, get the individual contracts. So you can basically build it yourself and modify it for whatever sports events or events that you'd like to. I mean, you gave the example earlier, maybe elections that you'd like to build a platform for. Lastly, this is if you're feeling very ambitious and you'd like to do a mobile app already for MiniPay. This is not a requirement. It's kind of a bonus. But since we'd like to pitch these ideas to MiniPay, if you'd like to actually develop it so that it's already compatible with MiniPay, um, you can follow this on the Celo website, which basically takes you through step by step of installing MiniPay. You kind of have to do some local testing and I think spin up an emulator locally to see how your app will look. But for those who feeling inspired, super. And obviously the idea here is you're building mobile app games. So if you are then able to do this, it's great for it'll be a great user experience if you are already kind of if you are MiniPay compatible. All right, then the last two tasks are the most important. Add a link to your GitHub repo, and then upload a demo video of your product, just so that we're able to actually see it before we go and dive into the GitHub. And that's it. I mean, once you've got that, just tick. Once you've added those, submitted them, tick these boxes to say that basically you're aware that these are really just for us to say, like, before you submit, did you check that your app was usable? Did you actually submit a repository with clear instructions? And then did you add a video? So it's just really a check. And then once you've done all that, you click submit, and that's it. Um, we will we've got given until the end of the month for submission, so another 2 weeks or so. We will totally take feedback. I mean, if everyone's feeling like that they would like maybe a bit more time, we can extend it. Usually we find 2 weeks is perfect for these type of hackathons. We will do check-ins weekly that allow you to pop on, ask questions to the Celo development team. If you're looking for more inspiration or you'd like to find team members, please use the WhatsApp group. Uh, and yeah, I'm going to pause here for now. I'll maybe just also ask Blessing. I don't know if there's anything I've missed or anything you'd like to add from your side.
Okay, so just some updates. You'll be able to see like past submissions once you submit, and then the other thing is we adding comma gap. So your submission will actually be integrated into comma gap, so you'll be eligible for other opportunities within the seller ecosystems, which is like proof of ship, which is some of the initiatives that I co-host, and then also other programs like proof of ship, and there are a couple of programs that runs beyond the hackathon. So make sure that when you're building, it's something that you can continue building and be eligible for other prizes as well.
What are the sort of prizes look like, Blessing, for those incubator programs? Do you know offhand?
So proof of ship, there's usually around 10,000 Celo,
Which is about
which is,
$10,000, right? Or is it 5,000? I don't even know now.
yeah, more, I'm not sure anymore, but it's around that area, which is actually distributed amongst everyone. And also there's tracks. So like when you integrate like zero knowledge proofs, you also get a prize of like $250. Yeah. So as you do your submission, just make sure that your project is not already on Kamagap, because the submission that you do on the platform will automatically be registered on Kamagap. So we don't want to have any conflicting projects.
Yeah, and I think this was raised earlier. So for the previous project winners, they'll be featured up here. So you'll know which projects have won, and you can click on people's profiles and go and view the demo video or the actual repo. So we will publish the winners. We're a bit slow. I know we haven't done one for the list. We need to update the winners there. But the same thing here. When the hackathon completes, you will see the winners on the top of the page. I did hear some hands go up, but I'll just stick on this page, I guess. Sorry, I didn't catch that clearly. Yeah, sure, you can go for it. So is the question is, can you use JavaScript to interact with a smart? Yeah, totally. So yeah, 100%. There's no internet. We're like kind of front end agnostic. I guess the only requirement is that whatever front end framework you choose, you can or how you choose to interact with the blockchain is up to you. That's not something we judge on. As long as you've got smart contracts deployed, and then you've got some way that we can interact with them, that's perfect. Does that help? Amazing. Thank you so much. Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, we as mentioned, the talk's been recorded as well, so we can share that. Otherwise, the whole purpose of this is that this page here should actually give you all the resources you need to complete the event. And once again, like, we do encourage early submissions, because at least we also feel this is a nice approach to the hackathon, is your effort doesn't go to waste. Pretty much, if you submit something that's workable, you will get some prize. So what happens, we tend to find with hackathons, is people get like 80% of the way there and then they give up. So we just really encourage you not to give up, because if something's submitted and it's good, and it's, clearly meets what we're looking for, then you can win a prize.
Um, GM, I have a question to ask. Um, the hackathon said mobile application development, but you've said front-end agnostic. But if I wanted to go ahead and build a React Native app, can I use Expo? Is actually my question. Because if I'm using Expo, I might not be submitting an APK with my Git repo, but it would work with Expo. That's the mobile application. That's basically the question I've got.
Yeah, I think actually the terminology, I probably could clarify better here. I don't really want, I mean, it's fine. Obviously, if you're good at building mobile apps, I think that's great. But I think sometimes they can be quite an overhang and they add a lot of like technical, I guess, weight to a project. So you can build basically a responsive web app as well. It doesn't have to be an actual like Android or iOS app. Um, I think almost if you do that, it's a bonus, but it's not necessary because we're more interested in the functionality. Like, for example, did you come up with a game that was really interesting? I also would say there's really interesting, if you go on YouTube and you just type game tutorials, racing game tutorials, something like that. They're really fascinating ideas that people have come up with. So we'd rather you use your front end skills to build something innovative rather than sort of committed to heavy development that goes into app development. I think the reason why I've created some confusion is that when apps are spoken about in the crypto sense, they're not really we're not really talking about Android and iOS apps. We're talking about decentralized apps. Um, so I just want to clarify, and I mean, happy to write a message on the WhatsApp group as well, that we mean decentralized apps, not iOS and Android apps, because we don't want you spending too much time on that aspect. Does that help, or does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does to an extent, because the emphasis is integrating MiniPay, and MiniPay is mobile first, so to speak.
Yeah.
For instance, if I was building a Farcaster mini app, I would not use MiniPay because everything takes place inside the Farcaster wallet. If you understand what I mean.
I
So
understand that.
I'm looking at that. Yeah, I'll have a Farcaster mini app because it helps you get users for your application. But for this submission, I was looking at creating a React Native application which uses MiniPay, but I wouldn't spend a lot of time generating an APK. I'll just focus on using Expo so that I've got a working application with MiniPay. Is basically what I have in mind.
Yeah, I mean yeah, I would highly recommend. I mean, if you can get something spun up on MiniPay, or maybe you more, you mentioned Farcaster earlier. We we started out, and I think that's also something the team spoke about. Is we started out where we were very strong. We wanted people to build on MiniPay. We have actually done a Farcaster hackathon before, and what we're trying to focus on here is not so much building for maybe a specific platform like MiniPay and Farcaster, and rather focusing on the experience for the user. In other words, is the game that you make fun, or is the game actually solving like a fun challenge? Because the logic here is, if the game is fun, it really doesn't matter which platform you then build it on. Do you know what I mean? Um, yes, it might be a little bit of more of a technical lift if you then want to add it to Celo, add it to MiniPay or Farcaster. But for our purposes here, we're actually looking to discover interesting projects and interesting ideas. And hence the reason why we're pretty agnostic. So you won't get penalized if you choose to build it MiniPay, Farcaster, or a web app. Like, it's really, it doesn't matter to us. As long as we can use it and test it, we're very happy. Does that help?
Yeah, that does. Thank you very much.
All good. Good question though. Thank you. Great. I'll stop I'll stop presenting. Once again, we are going to do a follow-up session. I think Blessing, putting him on the spot, but I think Blessing will probably host that just as a technical check-in next week. But thanks, Blessing. But yeah, thank you everyone again for attending on a Friday. Really looking forward to seeing what projects have come or will come through, and I think this is always the best part about hackathons is just everyone gets to learn something new. So feel free to go through all the resources, and most importantly, I really hope you all enjoy the event. And thank you so much.
Having us.
Yeah. Thanks, cheers, cheers.